Well, like a scoop of ice cream, a pair of clean Nike shoes, and the love for your mistress, good things must come to an end. With the Arcane finale concluding almost a week ago, that means many of our favorite characters have either gone over that rainbow bridge, or have gotten their happily ever afters. And for Singed, well, he just keeps on winning now, doesn't he? However, the most tragic ending to Season 2 was undoubtedly the final moments of two sisters, Violet and Jinx, seeing each other for the last time. But who were they? How did they get to this point? And why did their dynamic make this series a milestone in the hearts of many? Today's video is not about one character, but two. A family of tragic characters in their complicated relationship to Arcane. Now, I'd like to hit the rewind button to a better time in our lives, December 2012, which is, holy crap, around the same time I made this YouTube channel. Yeah, back in my wilder days, I used to post a lot of League of Legends content, and the one thing that greeted me to the game for the very first time was Vi's login screen. Her theme song, playstyle, and bad cop attitude were a game changer. Her fantastical science fiction-y gloves pack a wallop, and at least from design appeal, she was very fun to play. Unless you're me, and clearly like to die. A lot. Because me and the jungle just don't seem to get along very well. Just win your lane, guys! I have no time to be your maid! Then we jump to 2013. Vi and Caitlyn might be great cops, but you know, every Law and Order Dick Wolf knows you need a villain to make their dynamic zing. How Riot decided to promote Vi's rival is with the help of a studio that just finished the music video for the band Gorillaz, and that is Studio Fortish, the guys who would later on make, well, Arcane. Get Jinx was the music video that launched Jinx into the spotlight, and with their chaotic nature and absurdly long, blue, Pippi Longstocking pigtails, she became the new face for League of Legends stands all around. Jinx is supposed to be Riot's homage to characters like the Joker, but what I and probably 90% see her as is just Harley Quinn.
Here you thought I was just another bubble-headed blonde bimbo. Well, the joke's on you. I'm not even a real blonde.
From her mannerisms to her voice performance, it all just sparks trace reminiscence of a clinically insane clown girl who does things because she's just, you know, crazy. As a character, she's pretty shallow and one-dimensional, but as a character in a MOBA, it makes her an icon. Considering that we got a whole lot of promotional material in the last decade or so of just this character alone, more so than even Vi, she remains one of the most identifiable player characters in the industry. So it makes sense that they would just base a show around her, her sister she's connected with, and a whole bunch of others. Especially with the game having to retcon its lore every Harvest Moon, Arcane can be considered the first genuine attempt to give depth to these characters. And the public response was a mixture of yes to oh thank God! Now instead of thinking of Vi and Jinx as being one no stereotypes with questionable actions, we now think of them more like a tragedy that fluctuates based on motivation and emotional depth. A family torn apart and trying to fix their shattered lives, yet can't, and that's why they are both so well written to actually sympathize with. So now we know who they are. How did they get into a situation where they're trying to punch and Tommy gun each other to death while also getting into sisterly slap fights? Well, it's a long story. Vi is our first to look at. She's tough, has street smarts, and gets into situations that go way out of hand. Raised in the Undercity named Zon, she has to struggle with her foster siblings to survive, and as such, she tries to be courageous and headstrong when it comes to leading. She is a linchpin to keeping everyone's emotions in check, but is also reckless when it comes to their safety. Even Vander, their caretaker, has to call her out, since he knows a thing or two about these sorts of things.
This? It's not going to solve your problems. It just makes more of them.
She lets her emotions get the better of her, and that could lead to consequences. Robbing Jace's apartment was not a smart move, and in a rush, got an entire police investigation breathing down her family's neck. She wants what's fair for everyone, believing that fierce action would lead to Topside giving them respect.
I grew up knowing I'm less than them, that my place is down there. I want Powder to have more than that, and I'm willing to fight for it.
Yet, Vander warns that action without careful consideration will mean lives lost in the heat of the moment.
I was angry, just like you. I led us across this bridge, thinking things could change. If I hadn't, your parents would still be alive.
She doesn't want to lose anybody, and it's because of that she has a habit of trying to fix her own mistakes without anyone's help. She was the one who was going to turn herself over to the Enforcers until Vander arrived in Act 1, and would get into a fight with Silco's right-hand woman in Episode 5 without even getting Caitlyn involved. She lets her past mistakes eat away at her times of vulnerability, and by not letting others in, she pushes many back, like her sister, probably the biggest mistake she's ever made. That's perhaps the very reason she's more comfortable pummeling her threats in, like a cover for her insecurities and shortcomings. However, that can overwhelm her and leaves her even more dazed and confused in her decisions, something we can see in a montage of her time in the fighting pits. Throughout the series, she is usually the one who will take on all the pain by herself to protect what's dearest to her, sacrificing her happiness to shield them from harm.
We played a game where we pretended to be bigger and bigger monsters. So she would say, I'm a slug monster with venom for ooze. And I would say, well, I'm a slug eating crab with razor spikes. I'd get carried away and she'd get scared. I didn't want her to start crying and wake my parents up, so I pretended to chase my own monsters away.
Caitlyn represents her vulnerability and point of condition, with their relationship being one needing to put aside past bias in order to truly become whole. So yeah, Season 2 really needs that Vi-Kate lovemaking scene. It's actually essential to the plot, and I am not kidding. Vi encompasses all of Vander's teachings and beliefs, in that in unity and camaraderie can we become our better selves. We no longer have to hold on to our past mistakes as crutches because they are what make you, you. Finding balance in her ferocity and her kindness proved to be what she needed to overcome. Of course, it did take quite some time, and when your family does stuff like this, not even giant Hextech fists can punch your way out of it. There is this constant thread among the more sinister and morally ambiguous characters in Arcane, and that is the intoxication of power. We see this with folks like Mbessa, Singed, and Silco, characters with not much to lose if they can resort to these scientific discoveries to achieve their desires. Victor and Jinx, meanwhile, were people altered by forces outside their control into acts unspeakable, yet found ways to repent upon realization. Jinx, in this case, was cast into the role of a villain in Arcane's narrative. Much like the unstable Hextech core she procured, she was unrestrained in keeping her actions in check, and is explosive in her mood swings. Even as a child, Powder was an unfortunate victim of her emotions, stemming from trauma and fears of losing the few people who put efforts into caring for her. Everyone would call her a Jinx, an omen of bad luck who gets in the way and brings misfortune to the crew. Vi gives her warmth and comfort, connecting them both and bringing harmony to their pocket world. Yet, in the aftermath of Vi's loss of her found family, she blames her sister for the outcome, resulting in Violet saying to Powder, "You are a Jinx."
Do you hear me? Milo was right.
And with that, Powder's already fragile mind is lost in a quagmire of mixed sadness as she teeters between being a Powder ready to explode and a Jinx ready to cause misfortune. Where Vi has Vander as a parental figure, Silco is one to Jinx. However, Silco uses that to his advantage, a relationship that only sees Jinx utilized to Silco's rise to power. Yet, Silco is also torn by his desire to see Zaun's independence and Jinx's safety when the ships start to become misaligned. In his time of ostracization and terrorism, he never once held Jinx up as a daughter until, weirdly enough, towards his traumatic end.
It's only us. You're my daughter. I'll never forsake you.
What Jinx wanted was love, but when everyone fears you as this emotional hand grenade, she can't help but feel like she's always meant to be the outcast. The only friends she has inhabit her fractured mind, the dead and the make-believe.
I thought maybe you could love me like you used to, even though I'm different. But you changed too.
There is this saying a lot of commentators of Arcane love to talk about, and that is reaching for the gun. A moment where characters' ambitions and pride are at their breaking points. However, where some need to assert their dominance, Jinx looks to just lash out her anger into destroying the one thing she seemingly can't have: adoration. That's why she has a passing distaste for Caitlyn, who she saw as someone who gets in the way of her former identity coming back for Vi. Yet she also believes that each time someone gets close to her, they will eventually leave her, like Vi, like Silco, and like Isha, the person who looked up to Jinx the most, and one that Jinx could provide genuine connection and support opposed to Silco. She believes herself to be unwarranted of love, and despite the two sisters being at odds with the other, they both want nothing more but to be together again.
You don't have to worry about me anymore. You don't need to feel guilty about being happy. You deserve to be with her.
This leads Jinx down her path to redemption as she begins to wear the mantle of a freedom fighter against the likes of Ambessa's Noxian army. From the prison break to the final battle to stop the Arcane, she can finally fight for a better future. A future with her big sister by her side.
No matter what happened in the past, it's never too late to build something new.
And that is maybe the major takeaway from their dynamic, because in the end, it is the power of family that ties their fates together. When we think about family, we tend to believe it to be bound by blood. Take Ambessa. She believes in the family bonds, but considering her actions by the end of the series, it was superfluous. If she did care, she wouldn't burn so many bridges in her pursuit, and would be satisfied with what she had and not what she could not have. That's why Mel couldn't accept her, and had to ultimately put her down. Singed was a father who wished to be reunited with his daughter, kind of like Mr. Freeze to Nora from Batman. Yet, it doesn't bode well when he monologues about the need to preserve the mutation, or go to such demented lengths of progress. He was always about science, not the heart of it, and by throwing away his ethics, he threw away the hope of getting his blood back. I mean, he does technically, but it's just a soulless little doll. But then you have Jinx, Vi, and Vander. Now, Silco was Jinx's parental model for years, but he was very twisted in how he acted. Vander was more of a father to Jinx and Violet, as he did many things that any parent would. He was an open man, the bartender you can pour your drama to and can help find your answer. He teaches Violet the value of being strong, and he gives Powder the love she was missing. When he died, the girls had a hole that needed someone to fill, and unfortunately, they couldn't help each other realize it independently. Vander is later revived as an uncontrollable monster of rage, and when Jinx snaps him out of his state of bloodlust, it starts to unlock the hidden past selves within the two sisters. Their love reciprocates to the disheveled beast, and they try to bring their former father back to his senses. Yet the damage has been done, and they both have to realize the best thing to do is put a stop to his pain. How we treat family is the same as how we should treat people, with kindness, respect, and understanding. It's like any relationship where both have to make an effort to share their empathy and struggles intertwined. It's a collective that showcases the best parts of being human, and for Vi and Jinx, it has its ups and downs. We feel bad for them, and we wish for things to go back to square one and start again. Yet, we ultimately can't stop it. Sometimes love just isn't enough, and circumstances cannot circumvent their desires. Instead, they, and maybe even we, must find ways to do what can be done in the time we spend with those we love. Vander is lost, and Jinx, for lack of hard evidence, has finally taken that long-awaited trip on a balloon aircraft.
One day, I'm gonna ride confide in one of those things.
The importance of family is not lost, but may not be present in the ever-changing world we encompass. But by finding new love and rekindling past relationships, those tears in their trauma can be mended. That's what I take from their story. And even when they were going at each other, there was also a glimmer of hope for the two sisters to fix that bridge and be a family again. Thanks for watching, and tell me what you feel about either Jinx or Vi in the comment section below. Subscribe if you like my content, and if you want to get early access to my videos, be sure to subscribe to my Patreon. It's your bra man, signing off for now.